Eduardo A. Morato Jr. to address the class.
Good afternoon again, fellow gurus, graduates, relatives, and friends. I guess when you graduates started at the Ateneo, I started defining what the word entrepreneurship meant. It was not about a person that started a business and made money out of it. That's a businessman. I differentiated the entrepreneur as the person who creates value. A person that brings productivity of the enterprise and the entire industry to a much higher level of performance. An entrepreneur changes the world even as he or she transforms his or her own enterprise. There are many people who make a lot of money out of business. But to me, making money as a byproduct of entrepreneuring is the more laudable task. So when we were actually processing many of your papers, submissions, we were looking at that entrepreneurial quality, not to be mere businessmen, but actually contributors to nation building. I have no doubt that many of you several years down the road will accost me while walking in the mall that you have become filthy rich. There was once a student, when he was taking the ME, his sales was 5 million. 3 years later, he stopped me. He said, "Sir, I want to invite you at Suki restaurant, my favorite Japanese restaurant." I said, "Why? What's the occasion?" "I just hit 100 million pesos." And I looked at him and I said, "And you're only inviting me to a dinner?" But there are stories like that, and there will be a lot of stories like that. To me, that is not the impressive part of entrepreneuring. So there are 3 things that maybe I will be looking forward to. Number 1 is, as entrepreneurs, doing it for yourself and your family, that you don't forget that it is not about the business. It is about you and your family. It's a good thing that Tess, your mom, Philly, is here. When she was my student, she was talking about a succession plan. With due apologies to the family enterprise gurus and Auntie Maria, I do not believe in succession plans. I told Tess, no, your job as a parent is to have a progression plan. What's that? A progression plan for your children. Whether they end up in your company or somewhere else is immaterial. Your job as a parent is to develop them fully so that they can seek their own level of excellence. If you are insisting on succession, you're too full of yourself. You think that you're so great that I have to be succeeded. But actually, more importantly, is when your children become better than you are. And I've seen a lot of families quarrel as the businesses grow. And in fact, from one of the graduates, I heard in class, family difficulties. Sabi niya, sayang naman yung negosyo. Sabi ko, hindi sayang negosyo. Sayang yung pamilya. Because I think we should endeavor to sustain the family more than to sustain the business. Let's be clear, what is the means and what is the end? The business is the end, the family. But the business is the means, the family is the end. Don't put it in reverse order. Take note, Mike. 5 years, 10 years from now. That's the first part. Secondly, I want to be accosted not because you made a lot of money, but you made some breakthroughs. either in technology or in systems, that you have made an entire industry obsolete with your new product offering, your new service proposition. I want you to surprise me. During the defense, when I am into my criticism mode, as PD would put it, I will ask one question. Ano naman ang kamangha-mangha dyan sa ginawa? Kasi kung binabasa ko ito, na-download sa internet. At wala kang napulot na kamangha-mangha. Kasi kung hindi ka namamangha sa iyong pinagsiyasatan, walang kwenta. So huwag mawawala sana yung pagmamangha. That constant state of wonderment as an entrepreneur. And it is that constant state of wonderment that will lead you to destroy the old boundaries, to actually aspire for new things. And that statement of ours, to make yourselves obsolete every day. Yung pagmamangha. And that's the second part of entrepreneurship that I want you to bring with you as you go back. The third part, and I think this is the most important of all, that you all actually owe society. That the reason why I actually started this Masters in Entrepreneurship is not because I wanted another degree program at the time for AIM, nor for Ateneo. But when I submitted the proposal to Father Nebres, very clear that I wanted to bring it here because AIM did not want it anymore, for nation building. We all have an obligation to make this nation stronger, better, more prosperous, more humane, more just, and more fair. Each of us has that obligation. When I actually got the first insight about entrepreneurship, I was looking at statistics at the time. There are only 2,000 large firms in the Philippines, the firms that AIM was catering to. 2,000 medium, 25,000 small, and about 350,000 micro. Today, the number has escalated. The micro is more than or close to 1 million small registered formal micro enterprises. The small has gone up over 100,000, but the large and medium, they haven't gone up very much, about 3,000 each. So it was really this discovery of mine that there were so few businesses at the bottom. And 2,000 large firms cannot run the entire country. They cannot propel the country toward greatness. So where will the greatness of this country come from? It will come from the many micro and small enterprises that can become giants. And so you have that obligation to actually build your enterprise for the nation, for more employment, for more wealth all around. But not just for yourselves, but for others. There was a student of mine that came to me one day and said, "Sir, I heard you are educating people from the slum areas, teaching them some technology, teaching them some skills so that they can find a job or they can put up a business. I'm donating my first million to you for your foundation. Come around anytime to ask for another million and another million." Looks like he's become very successful. But looking deep within his conscience and his sense of nationhood, he said, "You know, when I was a boy at Xavier, one of the Jesuit schools, I couldn't afford continuing the education. And the Jesuits took pity on me and actually gave me a scholarship." And he said, "You know, ever since then, I wanted to repay society what society has given me. And this is my small way of repaying society." Another student of mine from the NE also actually donates to us 5 million a year for the purpose of education also. This is to find out who are the best and most transformative leaders that are developing the children and youth of today to become better citizens of tomorrow. When he entered my class, he didn't know how to do an income statement or a balance sheet or a cash flow or a funds flow. But today, he is handling a multi-billion business. Sure, 5 million may be a drop in the bucket. But I think the point of that story is, what we are hoping is that you do not lose sight that you are part of this struggling, impoverished society that is our country. And I hope that you keep that in mind as your businesses grow, as your families prosper. Good luck to all of you, and God bless you.